will begin our discussion first by these panelists telling us, what do you do? When we talk about genomics and bioinformatics, what is that?
So what we do in the molecular section is we diagnose diseases based on presence of the DNA of a specific pathogen. So that involves trying to interpret like biological data using computers. So basically that's what bioinformatics is, trying to understand pathogens based on their DNA and interpreting their DNA data using computers.
Why is that important? Because I see that you're not just from the genomics lab, you're from the vet lab, he's from a hospital. So why is this approach? You're all doing the same training. Do you need all these skills in those institutions? And how does that help?
We do need these skills because, as we've seen, a lot of diseases have come up where it's from the animals and then to the humans. So there's an intersection in animal health, human health, as well as the environment. And so it's very important to have these skills intersect across all the sectors to make sure that we're not working in isolation and we're not handling these diseases in isolation, so that we can save resources, one. Two, we can have a quicker approach so that the diseases don't keep spreading and people don't keep dying. So it's very important for all of us to have the same skill set and to transfer all these skills to one another.
What interested you into this kind of training?
So actually, my work, the nature of my work, I work in bacteriology department where we diagnose bacteria based on their characteristics, how they're metabolizing substrates and whatnot. But that's just the phenotypical presentation of the bacteria. But now we may need to get to the core of our diagnosis, which is now the genomics. Okay. So I would take it a bit, I think in 2022 when we had an outbreak, cholera outbreak. So that one happened in summer. So during summer, we don't expect to have cholera, but then that was something else different. But then we felt to go to the root to understand the transmission dynamics which has happened, only because we're just dealing with how the bacteria are presenting itself. But now getting to understand the genomic part, there are some other elements which may be concealed right in their genome. They may not be expressed due to environmental changes. But once the environment has changed, the bacteria will now reveal such kind of virulence and now start attacking us. So this training, it has been quite insightful in that aspect, where we can trace the transmission dynamics, and where we can also trace the origin of infection. So this is quite helpful and informative in such a way that it can help us in preparedness of outbreaks, which maybe with our routine diagnostic procedures cannot help us to do that. So it's really quite informative, I would say.
How will the information that you've gained and the skills that you've gained here now help you in your day-to-day work?
And as Baila Laboratory, we send samples we leave our samples to sequencing laboratory at FIM. So it has helped me to understand more how we can store samples and transport in sample transportation and sample storage.
How do you see these assisting in terms of in your genomics lab?
Genomics and bioinformatics is critical in the fight against pandemics and outbreaks. So previously, pre-COVID, not many countries had the capacity to do genomics and bioinformatics. But in Africa, maybe very few countries, like South Africa, maybe had some capacity. But for us in Malawi, we did not have any capacity. It was just maybe after 3 years ago that the genomic sequencing, National Genomic Sequencing Lab was established in Malawi, where I work. And we have seen how important this bioinformatics and genomics is helping in fighting outbreaks and pandemics.
I just wanted to add on One Health approach on how this training has augmented the approach of One Health. Looks at man as part of nature. So we now are working in collaboration with animal health, environmental health. Now, for us to effectively do some surveillance across all those areas, we may need bioinformatics, in a sense that, okay, we have another technique which we're using, wastewater surveillance. Okay, so after everything, it goes into waste in the environment. Humans, animals, name it, it goes into the environment. So digging information from there now, it does not really work with our routine diagnosis. We need bioinformatics, which can now separate, because it's just pool of pathogens. We get to monitor to see, okay, how are the pathogen interacting with the environment and other hosts.
And just to add what I said on the One Health aspect, so this training also gives us a platform where we can come together, and that gives us like a networking platform. So we can also be sharing data, and that will help us understand the pathogens more.
This training will help me to even to advance my careers, because at first I didn't know about bioinformatics. I was just listening from people bioinformatics, but now with this training has even opened my career path, and I can even do a master's degree in bioinformatics with the basic training I had.
Most of the diseases now that are causing outbreaks now, they are coming from animals. Even the Ebola is coming from animals. The monkeypox is coming from animals. So it's really important that this capacity building initiative in bioinformatics really encompasses all sectors, not just human health.
So what is the one thing that has really stood out for you? You know, something that will resonate with you for the rest of time, even as you go back to work?
It would be we talked about the wastewater surveillance. So it was very interesting to note that we can have a proactive approach to emerging threats by monitoring what's going on in the wastewater in Malawi. More so because not a lot of people find themselves in hospitals. So it'd be great to know what's circulating in the population before you have an outbreak and before you have to react. So yeah, that was very interesting.
With the skills I had in this training about malaria genomics, and as a country, we're using there's a suspicion of drug resistance in malaria. So with this training, I think we can do better as a country.
We know that we are not just doing genomics and bioinformatics for the sake of it. We are doing it to inform even policy, public health policy.
Wow, thank you. Very interesting conversation. And the fact that the skill that you have will not only help you as a scientist, but help your lab, help your colleagues, and then you'll be getting solutions for your public health challenges in Malawi, but also informing policy. Those people who are in positions of policy need you to be able to advise, to be able to guide, using a skill that you have gained during this training.